Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Yud Chet Chai, the 18th of Adar Aleph, Hatafshin Pei Dalid. And I'm Reva Emunah, and we're recording live from Tzfat. There's a lot of action in the sky happening right now. All morning, there's been the sound of jets. And, just reminding us all to continue to breathe. So last night at 10 p.m. till about midnight, we had this spontaneous, beautiful Zoom class on a piece from Rav Kook. And also there might be a lot of background noise on the recording because today is election day in Tzfat, and there's a lot of cars driving by with announcements. So I pushed record, and we even paused the recording maybe even more than once, so someone could share privately, and somehow it wasn't recorded. So these Torahs are so healing. They're so restoring that I want to try to do it again, and hopefully this time it will record so that we can share these Torah with each other from Rav Kook, from Rav Avraham Yitzchak HaCohen Kook. So we are in a Seidel that is called Yesh Kanfei Ruach. You have wings of spirit, right? You have it in you. Whatever this vision of yourself is, that's whole. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It just feels more in alignment with your true self, right? With what you truly value. And somebody gathered Rav Kook's teachings on the topic of al imun ha'adam be'atzmo u'bechayav, on believing in yourself and believing in your life. From Harav Avraham Yitzchak HaCohen Kook. And these teachings are truly living Torahs. I think you'll begin to feel that. So we are in a chapter that is called Haderech Shel HaTikkun, the path or the way of Tikkun, in other words, of recovery, of renewal, of beginning again, we mentioned last night that I'm thinking of Reb Shlomo's beautiful nigun, right? Oy lav lachsheves ve'yemek habachem ve'u yachmor alai oichem lav lachsheves ve'yemek habachem ve'u Right, so that's Reb Shlomo's beautiful nigun, and the words is from Harav Alkabetz, that is Kavur here in Tzfat, and whose resting place is here in Tzfat, and the words are, right, Hashem singing to us, singing to the Shekhinah. In other words, Hashem singing to himself as he dwells within every human being and within every creature. And Hashem is singing to us, right? Rav lach sheves. It's way too long that you've been dwelling in the valley of tears. Right? And Hashem is now coming to gather you into him, to take you in his arms, take you in her arms, right? Ima ilah also, right? But not as a broken child, right? As one who has worked so hard to learn all of these secrets and Torot of what does it mean to individuate, and what does it mean to have to break in order to individuate, and break yourself and break your parents, in order to build vessels, and all the paradoxes of having to lose everything in order to find Hashem and find everything. And, so part of what Rav Kook is inviting us into, I believe, here is Rav Lachshevet Be'emek Habacha. We know only too well the Torahs of grief. We know only too well the Torahs of shattering. We know only too well the Torahs of unkindness. We know only too well the Torahs of fear. And Rav Kook is saying, but the chidush for us is to allow in and to begin practicing the Torah of Yeshua, right? The Torah of healing, the Torah of stepping back into love and experiencing oneself as stronger and more beautiful and more integrated, and for having gone through all of this, right? Haderech shel HaTikkun. What does it feel like to shed that enormous part in the process of the shattering and the planting, Hazorim Bedima, and start to receive the goodness, the healing, all those things that we still stayed connected to, right? That true self, that place that where we're really able to cultivate a certain level of compassion and spaciousness and acceptance, and then presence with ourselves and with each other. So may this be for all of our continuous healing and rejoicing and awakening and hitchadshut and aliyah. Okay. הדרך של התיקון. כשאדם רוצה להיות דווקא צדיק גמור. So Rav Kook says, when our spiritual vision of ourselves and desire is to be a completely righteous being, קשה לו להיות בעל תשובה. Paradoxically, get in the way of our being this type of being that's called a Baal Tshuva, a master of correction, right? Exactly like a surfer or as somebody on a bicycle that becomes masterful of missing the mark, leaning too much to the right or leaning too much to the left, or going back into parts that are fear driven and shame driven and have agendas and have critics and judges and right. And Rav Kook is saying, isn't it ironic, but you should know in your spiritual path that if you try to hold some type of a dmut, of a vision of yourself in spiritual perfection, that will actually hinder your spiritual unfolding. Al-Ken, and therefore, ra'ui lo le'adam, shetamid yasim libo et ha'she'ifa lihiot ba'al tshuva. And Rav Kook says, what's more useful and will ultimately be more healing is, instead of the goal of perfection and an image of yourself as somehow now being perfect or okay or enough or righteous or right, what's a more healing and healing, yeah. Experience is to draw into our heart more, a she'ifa, which is like a lish'of, like a shovei avak is a vacuum, right? A pull towards, pulling into ourselves, graciously and gently, but pulling into ourselves, instead a desire to become a master of tshuva, right? A master of learning how to be graciously moving in flow and with flow. Shakua b'ra'ayon ha'teshuva, right? So kind of submerged in this energy that is called teshuva, returning to true self, returning to that which I know is true, returning to my deep breath, returning into even a slightly more open vessel, meaning ability to let some trust in, let some love in, let something new in, let a possibility of myself as something higher and more whole and more integrated, and myself more in compassion and compassionate acceptance towards them. Rav Kook says this is called to be shakua b'rayon teshuva, to submerge yourself, right, in that you deeply know that every part of you does want to grow and learn and strengthen and heal and renew and begin again and not give up. And I don't mean not give up in the way that the parts, like the managers, don't give up. Those are like parentified children where we can't give up because they're so terrified. That's not the type of giving up here we're speaking of. Here we're speaking of that there's so much more trust in the space that it becomes easier and for us to surrender that sort of controlling fear and controlling fear-based responses and give it over to, again, we can call it true self, higher self, Yud He Vav He, Anochi. Okay, so Rav Kook says, Vishoef lehit gashmuta hamaasit, and our desire is to really live this, is to really put this into daily practice, to really to really live this vibration of being submerged in the energy of teshuvah. Ve'az tuchal teshuvato leharim oto lemala. And then this energy that's called our teshuvah, right? Our ability to be more skillful with rising back up and beginning again. And but again, in a way of compassion and gentleness and faith, meaning we do feel more held, and we're even ever so slightly more willing to receive help from Hashem and receive help and light and goodness from others. And Rav Kook says, and this begins to elevate us. Ad midat tzadikim gemurim ulemala mizeh. And paradoxically, it begins to heal us to a level that of a frequency of not only these very whole and righteous beings that we were aspiring to be, but actually even something that is more expansive than just that sort of one dmut or imagery, right? In other words, far beyond what we thought, or that we desired and yearned to be and become. This is something even far greater than that. So Rav Kook continues. Ha'adam ha'ko'ev tamid al avonotav va'avonot ha'olam. The human being who is in a state of constant pain over their mistakes, over their shortcomings, and over the mistakes and the shortcomings of the whole world, right? Of everyone in the world, and even of the world itself. This person who walks around with an energy inside of them of a constant pain over experiencing their mistakes and what they perceive to be their failures and failings, where they don't measure up, where it's their fault, where they are the ones who are causing their own suffering, and they ruined their lives and they ruined other people's lives, and also experiencing others as the source of one's suffering and pain and shortcomings. So Rav Kook says, the one, which is all of us, to different degrees, and sometimes different degrees at different times in our journey, but the one who is holding this terrible and constant, ha'adam ha'ko'ev tamid, the one who is carrying this terrible and constant pain over their own mistakes and failings and shortcomings. That's their language, right? Va'avonot holam, and all the mistakes of the world, and also all the way that the world has harmed them. Tzarich hu tamid limchol velisloach le'atzmo ve'ola'olam kulo. Rav Kook says the healing remedy for this is to constantly offer oneself forgiveness. To constantly, now I know that this can awaken hearts within us that feel that then people will not have to take accountability for the pain and suffering that they caused, that they'll be let off the hook, that this is not justice. I very much understand and have these same parts within myself. And we're also going to make space for the teachings of our holy masters and understand we can hold both. Okay. So Rav Kook is saying to begin a spiritual practice, and again in a light-hearted and gentle way, right? Not one more thing and on your to-do list and responsibilities, and not like that. One more way to begin healing is to be in a constant and gentle, not OCD, just constant as in the sense that it's your constant companion, constant loving presence, to forgive yourself for your mistakes, forgive yourself for your failures, what you call your failures, even what others might call your failures. Forgive yourself for failing. Forgive yourself for falling. And deeply, deeply expanding to allow the spaciousness that we take accountability, hod, the hodot, to admit when we're aware and conscious that we fell short and we caused suffering both to ourselves and to God, the Creator, and to one another because we fell short. And we allow the awareness of the pain that we caused from our unconsciousness. And we offer ourselves forgiveness. Rav Kook says, Tzarich hu tamid limchol velisloach le'atzmo ve'le'olam kulo. The way to heal, Rav Kook is telling us, the way to heal is to begin a spiritual practice of offering yourself forgiveness and offering the world and others the energy of forgiveness. Notwithstanding that we understand that resistant parts, protector parts, will of course be activated by hearing this, right? Okay, good. We're holding both for right now. Ubazeh hu mamshich slicha ve'or chesed al ha'havaya kulo. And Rav Kook says, when we energetically offer ourselves forgiveness, let ourselves off the hook. Stop hurting ourselves. Stop believing that we're bad and that we deserve to be hurt, and that it's our fault, and that somehow we're dark and we're bad. And Rav Kook says, when we begin to offer ourselves forgiveness, no matter how much parts might be telling us that we don't deserve that forgiveness and it's not just, and other people don't deserve forgiveness and it's not just, Rav Kook says, nonetheless, when we begin to offer the energy of forgiveness to ourselves and then to others, we draw into ourselves and all of reality, hahavaya kula, slicha, the energy of forgiveness, ve'or chesed, and the energy and the light of love and loving kindness. We start to begin to trust and yearn again and believe in the value of kindness. And we draw the energy of forgiveness and kindness back into ourselves, back into our parts. And then we begin, from there, it's so healing to offer ourselves kindness and to receive from ourselves kindness, that everything begins to soften in a good way. Umesameach et hamakom, and we bring the Creator joy. We gladden the heart of the Creator. We bring an energy of lightness and love and healing to the Creator. Umesameach et habriot, and this energy brings a joy. In other words, not joy that's dependent on getting a certain thing or a certain, object that we believe we desperately need, or we can never be happy. This is a gift that, because we're forgiving ourselves, we start to believe that we can let light and goodness and kindness in right here, right now. Not one day when we do more healing work, when we become better or some perfect version of ourselves. That the kinder way is that I offer myself the possibility to receive goodness and kindness from Hashem right now. And that actually helps me offer more kindness to everybody and everything, including myself, beginning with myself. Uvatchila. So now Rav Kook is teaching us that there is a Seder Hishtalshalut here. There is an order of operations of how my healing unfolds, of how I come back to goodness and kindness, and in an experience of a world of not perfection, but a world of more acceptance and more compassion. And it's so beautiful, honey. Wow. You're held in all these trees and wow, and grass. Wow. There's somebody on Zoom. So beautiful. Okay, so Rav Kook says, Ubatchila, begin with yourself. Ubatchila tzarich limchol atzmo, atzmech. Ubatchila tzricha limchol atzmech. ואחר כך היא ממשיכה מחילה כללית על הכל. הבנת? Let's take a minute and offer ourselves slicha. Oh, what a beautiful gathering. Yay, boker tov, neshamot. Okay, so we are going to take 3 minutes and You can close your eyes if you want to. You can shut off your camera if you want to. I personally think it's nice to see each other and to allow a little bit more intimacy between us. And, I think we're done with a lot of hiding. And if Kook says, see, let's spend the next 3 minutes offering ourselves mechila, slicha mechila. Ani solachet lach. אני מוחלת לך על הכל, על כל מה שחשבתי שהוא לא היה אמת ונכון, על כל מה שאמרתי מתוך פחד, בלבולים, פשוט לא ידעתי, פשוט לא הבנתי, לא ידעתי מה זה אהבה, לא ידעתי. אני סולחת לעצמי, אני מוחלת, מחול, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. You've dwelt in the valley of tears and suffering and punishment and self-punishment and judging yourself and hating yourself and beating yourself in a million ways and restricting yourself and denying yourself and shaming yourself. Die, Mitsuka, die. So, תמחלי לעצמך, תסלחי לעצמך, זהו, מספיק. אני סולחת לעצמי. I forgive myself. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I release you from your belief that you deserve punishment and darkness and pain and suffering, that you're not good enough, that you harmed people, that you hurt God. I release you from that. Release yourself. Machul, machul, machul. ובתחילה צריך למחול לעצמו. And we begin by offering this forgiveness to ourselves. And this might take weeks because parts are going to arise, protector parts, manager parts, firefighter parts, and that's beautiful. That's exactly as it should be. Let every part arise. Let every part know that it has space. ואחר כך, and afterwards, הוא ממשיך מחילה כללית על הכל. And once you, your own tank and well, has received enough kindness from yourself, and it can take a lot of time because we're not used to giving ourselves kindness. Take as much time, as many days, as many ways as you need to do it through dance, as you need. Hi, good. Oh, your toe. As many ways as you need to start to let kindness into yourself. Start to let God's kindness into you. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to judge it. And all the parts that are going to come up and say, that's not safe. And that's beautiful. Welcome. We welcome all of you. All the parts that say, if you really knew how bad and evil and dark and selfish and mean and unholy, and if you really knew my thoughts, you don't mean me. And Rabbi Nachman said, you guys always think that I don't mean you. I mean exactly you, right? You think somehow you're outside of the circle of beings that deserve kindness. Yes, there are beings that deserve kindness, but that's not me. And Rabbi Nachman says, it's exactly you. I'm exactly talking to you, the one who the most think that it's too late for them and they don't deserve kindness. Okay. And Rav Kook says, and as we offer kindness to ourselves, and as we allow ourselves to take in even one more dot of kindness from ourselves and to ourselves, our vessel starts to heal. Taking in kindness, the parts start to relax and calm down. They start to think maybe there is a new way to take in kindness that's not going to shatter me in the same way it did in the past. Right? Maybe what I thought as kindness is at 5 years old. Now at 40, I have more DOS. I have more self-presence. I have more beautiful blending of love and discernment. Right? And Rav Kook says, and from here starts to bubble out from me the desire to offer others kindness. And the greatest kindness we can offer any being is forgiveness. I forgive that you caused me suffering. I forgive myself for causing myself suffering. Here's a hard one. I forgive God for causing me what I perceive as terrible suffering. I would love God to forgive me for causing God suffering. In other words, for causing the energy in the world that wants to give goodness and kindness and light. And we're all so pissed off at that energy called God, right? And Rav Kook says, what happens when we start to offer kindness to all in all these directions? We even begin to offer kindness to God. I get that I'm mad at you and I feel and perceive that you hurt me and harmed me, but you also deserve kindness, God. Kivyachol, right? That's our human language. But in our human language, that's the best we could do, you know? Hello. Hello, Razy. Hello, butterfly princess. Okay. V'chol hakarov karov kodem. And Rav Kook says the order of operations is to go to you work from the inside out. Go to your inside part. You know that part. The part that goes, I'm bad and I deserve to hurt. I deserve the pain and suffering for the bad things that I thought and said and did and wasn't and was. Go to that part and just sit next to her and bring your kind presence. If she wants you close. And the biggest kindness is to see her there and see what she needs. But go to her with a desire to offer her kindness. And then Rav Kook says, and then it flows out from there, right? Little by little, we get more adept at offering our parts kindness. Little by little. we get more adept at letting in kindness, trusting kindness, even as the parts come up and say, I'm not safe and I can't. And in the past I was hurt. And yep. Keep reminding them the parts that we know they went through all of that. But guess what? We've learned, we've elevated. Not that we're perfect. We've just had some experiences that have opened us and shown us a wider perspective and taught us things. And so healed us more. Al anfei shoshav mitzad haneshama. And Rav Kook says, if you would like, play around in a meditation to see your soul and its root system and follow your soul's root system. And after we'll do this with the body, right? Right now, and follow in your imagination, right? And it's not your imagination, you should know. These are actually inner ecosystems, right? That you know about, and follow the flow of those energies back up through the roots, back up, noticing the places that, right, where forgiveness is blocked. And he says, but start first with your own soul. Follow your own root system and find those places and stories and experiences where you can't forgive you. And just notice it there. And see if it will allow you to just bring some kind presence to it. And then Rav Kook says, Rav Kook does not say to do this in your body system, but for me, that feels like an even next step, right? To go through my actual physical tree and scan my body and find those places where I'm not at peace with myself, where I can't let the light in for whatever reasons, where I'm blocked, where it's hard for me to forgive myself in those places and believe that I deserve kindness in those places. Ve'al mishpachto. And Rav Kook says, and then if you want to deepen this meditation, see if you might become curious of scanning the root system and every member in your family lightly with a light touch, just kind of checking in with the energy and noticing the spaces where forgiveness has clogged. What are the stories that the family is holding on to that they can't forgive this about each other? They can't forgive that ancestor. Ohavav. And Rav Kook says, and then if you want, you can expand the meditation even deeper and further if you so desire. And just sort of scan all of your loved ones, all those whom you love, and just scanning and noticing where are there energies where it's difficult to offer kindness. Where are there energies where it's difficult to receive kindness and let their kindness to you in? Where do you distrust their kindness? Where do they distrust your kindness? Just kind of scanning and noticing. Okay, let me open the chat. How do I forgive my ancestors for giving up Torah mitzvahs so I have to do this all on my own over 100 years later and live alone and away from my family in every way? I hope I'll offer you a deeper answer, but right now the answer is coming to me from Reb Shlomo. What do we know? What do we know? We don't know anything. What do we know about our ancestors? For all we know, it's their merit that brought us here. What do we know? Right? What do we know about who they really are and who we really are, and who is elevating who, and in whose merit we're healing? Let's begin with, what do we know? What do we know? What the story looks like on the outside is not often what the true inner story is, as we know, right? And hold that question in you, right? Just be with that question. We don't have to rush to answer it. We don't have to fix it or know. Just the holding it allows for, I want healing with my ancestors, and I also want my wounds to be healed, and I want the space for my fear and my true whole experience. Hey, Maisie, Daisy, Daisy. Okay, and Rev Kook says, and if you want to deepen this experience, see if you might offer your whole generation forgiveness. Not because I know how to forgive, and not because I'm better than anybody else. I just see how much we're all struggling and suffering. And I see how much the majority of us wants goodness and healing and a beautiful world and a beautiful life and beautiful families and beautiful connections. And we're suffering, and therefore let's offer kindness to each other. And the greatest kindness, Rev Kook says, is if I can meet that part of me that blames you so deeply for causing me suffering that I also wish you to suffer back. And that's amazing. We welcome that part. We're not going to pretend we don't have that part, right? We have a part that when a being causes us suffering, we want justice. We want them to suffer in return. We want them to feel what they caused us to feel. And that's okay. We welcome that part. And what would it feel like to start offering those parts a little bit of kindness? What would it feel like for those parts to let in some forgiveness? We have parts that don't want to let in kindness and forgiveness. We don't trust it. We think we don't deserve it. We're suspicious of it. We think it's a trick. We think it's going to come and bite us, you know, in the elbow. If we let in some hope and kindness and love, it's going to lash back and bite us or blindside us or fool us or trick us when we least expect it or see it coming. It's very vulnerable to let in kindness and to let in love. And we just want to give a shout out to all those parts that say, 1 second, whoa, hello. If she starts letting in all this kindness, she's not going to be safe. Right? She might actually love herself. And then what? Well, first of all, she's going to have to change. And that's a lot of change. And she's going to, right? And become something totally new. And that's a little exhausting. Right? Okay. Okay. Hi, parts. And then Rev Kook says, and if you want to expand even a little bit more, what is he saying? Practice contractions of stretching your vessel, your ability to offer kindness, even though everything is telling you, don't offer kindness. Okay, now again, it's not saying override every safety system. It's not saying don't have healthy borders. It's saying it can all exist at the same time. We're not masterful yet in living this in every moment, but we're getting more masterful at allowing it to exist at the same time. Not one or the other. It's wholeness. It's truth. It's authenticity. It's being with what I'm really feeling and experiencing. It's giving that a name and a space. Yes, beautiful. Let's give space to the critics who are coming and might be here now, who are saying, but if I love myself, how am I going to improve? The only way I'm going to change is by beating myself up, beating myself into change. Yeah, right. The critics are scared we're going to slack off, become a loser, and end up alone with 19 cats. Right. Yes. Or how will there's another critic who's asking, how will I know when I'm behaving in a way outside my value system? Because you're going to learn to trust your inner self that will whisper to you, it will start to feel so good to live within your true value system that when you step out of it, you'll know because it won't feel right. Not because someone's coming to punish you or deny you or not give you good stuff if you don't follow this rule. Right? It's, okay, hold on. Let's finish the sentence. And now Rav Kook says, if you would like to just for this moment stretch your vessel even a little bit more and open and soften, what would it feel like just for this moment to offer kindness to the whole world? Just for this one moment, without going into politics and judging and am I safe, and just asking all those parts to give us some space from one moment and offer kindness to the whole world. And Rav Kook says, and if you want to go even this one more step and stretch a little tiny bit more, try on what it would feel like to just for a moment, with all the protectors and managers and firefighters just giving us a space for a moment, what would it feel like to offer forgiveness throughout all time and space? Kindness throughout all time and space. Kol ha'olamim. What would it feel like to go back in imagination through all of our gilgulim, all of our lives and all of our cycles and all of our many experiences and times, and just offer ourselves a drop of kindness? And Rav Kook is saying, and then go to your mother's life when she was a little girl and she got wounded and she got hurt and she got scared and her parts got stronger, and offer her just a drop of kindness. And go up through your father's energy system and remember that he got disappointed and he got abandoned and he got shamed and he got hurt, and offer just a drop of kindness and forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay. Oh, chats. Okay, hold on. Let me check the chats. Okay. Is Rav Kook Mashiach? The Torah certainly is. I just want to know, maybe Richard also. Is Richard a Gilgal of Rav Kook? Yeah. Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. So we're in the next piece from Rav Kook. Adam shav b'tshuva me'ahava. When you start to come back to yourself, but be'ahava, with the loving energy, right? Offering yourself kindness and believing that it's okay to let some kindness in, right? Tzarich hu lisloach le'atzmo et kol avonotav. Right? So we start going to those stories and those times where we still hold anger and shame and blame against ourselves. And we start offering kindness and saying, I believe that you've grown beyond that. I believe you're allowed to come out of prison. כמו שצריך לפייס את חברו על עבירות שבין אדם לחברו, כדי להשיג סליחתו. Rav Kook says, you know how we have this halacha that if we hurt somebody's feelings, we need to go 3 times to try to appease and soothe the suffering that we caused them, right? We hurt them, we harmed them, we caused them suffering, and we need to go 3 times and try to fix that, right? Try to soothe the suffering and pain that we caused. And Rav Kook says, well, exactly so. Do we have to go to our own selves 3 times and to try to appease the suffering that we caused ourselves? The shaming and the humiliating and the judging and the hating and the beatings and the deciding that, for most of us, I have noticed this is a very chazak and controversial thing to say, but it feels very important for me to share it because I've experienced it as true. most of us have put ourselves in the imprisonments that we're in, maybe not consciously, but unconsciously, believing that we deserve isolation because we're bad, or we deserve suffering because we're not good enough or holy enough, or right. We condemn ourselves. I have seen this again and again, maybe not consciously, but when you start peeling away the layers in meditation, in breath work, in plant work, we will start to see that we condemn ourselves. We decide, we give ourselves a prison sentence. I don't deserve love. We say on the outside we want love, but there's parts that are condemning us. And again, because they have very good intentions of why they're condemning us. This is the Chiddush. This is the newness. That we used to be angry at the parts that condemned us. How dumb am I to condemn myself? And now we're going even deeper, and we're going, even those subconscious parts that decided that I deserved shame, or I deserved, right there. I mean, I have these parts in me, and I experience them as holding some martyrdom and some masochism. There's also something about my suffering that makes me holier and better than other people. I have parts like that too. They're all, different facets of these energies, right? And Rav Kook is saying the same way that I would go 3 times to try to heal and smooth over and restore trust, right? And restore relationship with a friend that I had hurt. Can I offer myself some of that? ואחר שבעיני עצמו יהיה מכופר ונקי מחטא. Listen how beautiful this is. And Rav Kook says, as my perception of myself starts to shift from a person where some of the parts are very strong parts, condemned myself to a life of pain or suffering or loneliness, or paying off what I perceive to be terrible mistakes and horrible feelings, right? And Rav Kook says, as I begin to offer those parts kindness, and I begin to experience it myself as one who is forgiven. Let me say that line again. I begin to experience myself as a being who God, life, myself, others, my parents, my family has forgiven. I'm free of the energetic burden of carrying the belief that I deserve to be hurt, or I'm somehow unlovable. I'm freed from that energy burden. I start to experience myself as a being worthy of kindness. Say that line. I am a being worthy of kindness. I am a being who wishes to extend kindness. And Rav Kook says, as we begin to experience ourselves as such, right? יתעורר עליו הקדוש של חלק גבוה. We begin to draw into ourselves and down upon ourselves. We begin to awaken these enormously sensitive and holy lights and consciousness from very elevated levels of wholeness, sheyithapchu kol avonotav l'schuyot. And this has the effect of healing all of what we perceived as our horrible parts and terrible failings and right into schuyot, into places where we're actually filled with light in those places. The places where we most judged ourselves and criticized ourselves and shamed ourselves, weirdly and miraculously transform into vessels for holding kindness. We begin to start experiencing ourselves as a being worthy of kindness, worthy of goodness, worthy of connection, worthy of love. Do I know how to love to perfection? Meh, not so much. I'm still worthy of goodness and kindness and love, allowing it into me. I was sitting with a dear, 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 beloved, dear soul. I don't know what the word is, partner yesterday, who was sharing with me from Rabbeinu's story of the exchanged children about essentially we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to move into this new levels of kindness and love and connection and allowing goodness. And it's okay. We don't need to know how to do it. We're just going to keep moving forward. And I loved that. Just going to show up for the next piece of the story and not have to control it and not have to know and not have to solve anything and not have to be afraid and not have to grab and not have to have lots of visions and expectations and not have to have shame if if we notice attachment and wanting a certain outcome and also allowing and right. And I loved that. It's such an Adar energy and playfulness of I don't have to know every second how love is going to unfold or look like or feel. I'm just saying that I'm allowing myself to take in a little bit more kindness and a little bit more love. And I'm asking and allowing myself to give just a little dot of more kindness and a little dot more love. That's all. That's all. I don't have to have like it's Megillah. Hashem will show me, right? Okay. Anybody, let me check the time. So I have scheduled a 10:30 Rivka Imenu part 5. So let's we have 6 more minutes. Should we do one more piece? Okay. This is really beautiful and really healing. התשובה היא מחוברת עם הגבורה האישית. Rabbi Nachman, hi, Rav Kook, Avraham Yitzchak Kook says that tshuva is intimately tied to the experience of our personal power. The power, right? What I hear here, I'm not sure this is Rav Kook meant, but it's okay because I'm being gifted something. That what I'm hearing that there's a part that's afraid that all this kindness and gentleness might leave me overly vulnerable, overly weak, overly collapsed, overly trusting, overriding my intuitive security systems. And I think Rav Kook is coming to offer help to that part by saying this process is actually going to strengthen inner self. And inner self, she holds both. She holds both kindness and discernment. She holds, right? She holds it in an ever flowing, unified, it's not one or the other. Okay. So Rav Kook is coming to help that part and calm that part and say, you'll actually feel more empowered as you are offering yourself kindness. Don't worry that it might leave you sort of an extreme polarized version of a completely disempowered being, right? No, it's okay. You can let those parts know. That's not what's going to happen. Okay? Ashrei ish yareh et Hashem. Ashrei mi she'oseh tshuva kashehu ish. והדבר למד מעניינו. אשרי מי שהוא איש כשהוא עושה תשובה. So Rav Kook is saying, it's not that we're going to lose the ability to function in Olam Ha'asiyah, in the physical world, with all of this forgiveness and all of this kindness. I might say, well, then therefore, I don't even kind of exist anymore, right? It's just about being kind to others. Or Rav Kook says, no, this is about healing. This is about feeling your presence more, not less. This is about feeling self, and by self, we mean true presence, being there for yourself, right? Holding yourself, witnessing compassionately and accepting yourself, right? And again, it's hard because all these terms can hijack parts, right? So it's hard to really have the lashon of this, the pure experience, but we're going to go, that's why I say do the meditation and you'll have the experience. All I'm doing now is trying to explain the experience. Don't believe me. Don't take it on faith. Do the meditation. Have the experience. What happens when you begin to go to your parts and offer them some kindness? Right? Do it in the order that Rav Kook said. Begin with yourself. Begin from the Kadosh Kadoshim and right? The parts of you that maybe are really, really scared of you and scared to trust you and scared that you're going to be kind to them. We have parts in us that are scared of us, right? And we're like, I get that I hurt you in the past. I was doing the best I could, and I'm going to try to not hurt you anymore. I'm going to try, and I'm probably going to fail and hurt you again, but please see that I get that I caused you pain, and I'm sorry. Okay, my lovies, let's wrap this one so we can move to Rivka 5 with a little 2-minute break in between. Okay, loves? Maybe I'll catch you on the other side. I don't know what your work schedules or kitty schedules are.
I'm out here with my kids, so I don't think I'll be able to join for the next one. But
Hi, Lovey. Lazy
thank
day.
you. Hello, for you could hear me. No? Yes. Hello.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
Mhm. That we came to the farm.
You want to sing an Adar song?
10 to 5.
Wait, I missed what you said.
10 to 5.
You didn't say 10 to 5 because that's what I heard. 10 to 5.
10
What did you
to
say?
5.
We came to a farm.
You came to a farm. You came to a forest.
And we're gonna have a picnic.
Wow. I came to the forest and what did I find? A picnic with mommy.
Yeah.
And she is very kind.
Oh.
Smiled
I
and
love you,
I love you, Raisy Daisy.
Oh.
Raisy Daisy, butterfly head.
Yeah.
She loved to sing stories and not go to bed. She liked to make friends with the cats and the trees. And she didn't always like
Are the bees.
go to school, please.
I love going to school.
I love going to school.
I know that's like literally the best, yummiest thing to hear in the whole world. That Hashem gave you a school now that feels yummy to go to. Right? If you wake up
You
in
know
the
what's the name for my school?
why?
What's the name?
Oh, what is the name? Can I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Giveret Chickamoni's school for silly banot.
No.
No. Okay, one more guess. Um,
Hmm.
Raisy Daisy's fun-filled lazy days camp.
No.
Ah, I don't
It's
know.
not that.
Give me a remez. Give me one remez.
That.
What?
The name is Mishkanot that.
Mishkanot das. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, such a good, yummy name. What a good, yummy name for a good, yummy school. Yeah. Can I come?
Can she come to school?
Yeah. Mhm.
I really would maybe come. You know, sometimes I come to schools as a leitzanit
Ah, sorry for your being a lieutenant.
during Adar, just to
I'm
play.
in the late side of Purim.
Yeah, really? Will you show me your costume? Oh my gosh, I forgot to shut off the recording. Hold on.
Whoops.
One
What
second.
did you-
Stop.
What did you-
I'll
what did
ask
you-
Ayala to edit that out. Okay.